So you end up coaching high school for a year.
1 year, yeah.
You're then assistant coach at Northern Michigan for a few years. This is the early 1980s. And for whatever reason, you always found a way those few years over to East Lansing.
Yeah, and I came down to Michigan State when Magic was, I think it was his first year, it was 78, yeah. And I watched practice and I just said, wow, Jed Heathcote was, he got after Irvin. He got after everybody. And so I said, someday I'd like to work for that guy, and
When you started going down consistently, were you just trying to put in FaceTime to create an opportunity for yourself?
I was, but I was also trying to learn. And I was, that dream was so far-fetched. And so then a year later, a job opened here. So I just applied for it and I didn't get anywhere. The next year a different one opened here and I applied again and didn't get anywhere. And on the third year is the year of Mary Chi's wedding that I broke my jaw and I was going to interview with Judd. So I interviewed with Judd with a broken jaw. Until the day he left here, he'd always come in and say, oh, yeah, you want the job, huh? And Judd made so much fun of me because he was such a great guy. And
why do you think you got it that year?
Well, I didn't. When I had the broken jaw and I said, he said, you're just not qualified enough. You haven't had enough recruiting experience. And there was a GA job open. I said, what about the GA job? He said, well, you're overqualified for the GA job. I said, well, that's my problem. Give me a chance.
You remember what you were making?
Yeah, I was making $4,500 a year. And I was 20, I think 5 or 6. And I was in a bunk bed with a 3-year-old on the bottom and me on the top. And I lived that way for over a year. So that's how my career started here. And I was a GA, and GA's last 2 years. But I couldn't find a job. And so Judd kept me for the third year. So I think I was the only 3-time GA in the history of Michigan State, but maybe in college sports because it's a 2-year program. At the end of that, I was out of money. My mom kept asking me when I'm going to get married at 29. And I kept asking her, when are you going to find me a woman that'll marry me making $4,500 a year? She didn't come up with a good answer. I wasn't married. And I was about to go back and take the head job at Michigan Tech University. The last day we were negotiating over video equipment. And I said, well, I'll tell you tomorrow. And my assistant, the assistant here, good friend, was a guy named Kevin O'Neill, ended up in the pros. He ended up coach at Toronto. He was at the University of Tulsa as an assistant. He was going to Arizona, called Mike, because they were friends, and said, there's a job open here. So he helped me get that job. So I went to the University of Tulsa for 6 weeks.
I was going to say not that long.
No,
yeah.
I didn't even, not even a cup of coffee. And
I'm sure they were thrilled.
Yeah, that guy was not real happy with me because he had lost some assistants and we went through a treacherous time during that period. And I remember calling Mariucci because the guy wanted to kill me, and I said, what should I do? He goes, well, just sit in there and talk to him. While he came in the office, I tried to talk to him. I didn't go over big, but Michigan State was my home, back in my home. I thought he'd understand that. He didn't. But so a couple slammed the doors in my face, and I understood it, to be very honest with you. But I was going back home with the chance to be the recruiting coordinator at Dream. That was when Dream started big.
What do you have to say to people when it comes to, pursuing your dreams and the fact that
it's really hard.
Doesn't happen overnight.
It's really hard. And our society, to me, is so screwed up and everybody's so entitled. The process is where the biggest lessons are learned. And so many people are skipping the process. And, people say, well, that's old school. And I would say, no, that's right school. I don't begrudge anybody that can get there in a faster track, but I'll never, ever give up the GA days, the Division II days. I think the working in my dad's shop from when I was 12, I think those things helped me. So I feel bad for the guys that just come up and then all of a sudden the real world hits, because this is Disney World now. College sports right now, it's kind of Disneyland, you know? I mean, you're flying on private planes, you eat what you want, you live where you want, now you're getting paid. I mean, it's Disneyland. It wasn't Disneyland back then. But the real world that they're about to enter in 1, 2, or 3 years isn't Disneyland.
Right.
And that's where I think we're doing them an injustice by not learning how to navigate the process and enjoy the journey.